Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's Work Smart webinar. This morning's topic is Excel tips and tricks for SMEs. My name is Yvonne McGarry, and I'm the Small and Medium Business Marketing Manager here in Microsoft Ireland. And I will be presenting this tutorial from our Dublin office. And hopefully we'll be showing you lots of really helpful tips and tricks for Excel, and just showing you some real-life scenarios. So we've selected tracking sales and invoicing, as we hope those are interesting topics for you. Just to say that this is part of a program we have called Working for Small Business, and we have a website. The URL is there, and we have a list of upcoming events and online tutorials that you can attend. So this particular session is pre-recorded. We did a live session this morning, which unfortunately you weren't able to attend. So on our live sessions, you're able to ask questions and interact with the speakers. So we'd encourage you to attend those in the future if you can. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. We're using Link today for our webinar. So in front of you, you can see I'm sharing my desktop. So there's a PowerPoint presentation. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take over as presenter, and I am going to share my desktop with you, which means that you will be able to see everything that I have on my computer. So that should be coming up now for you. Okay, so what I've put together are just two sample spreadsheets that you might use on a day-to-day basis. And first off, I'm just going to show you some of my favorite features. It's nothing fancy, it's just basic stuff that I use day to day, but I find that it saves me a lot of time. So if you're using earlier versions, you may not have some of these features, but these are certainly in 2007 and 2010. So hopefully you're all in those versions at the moment. So one of my favorite features is the little increase font size. It's very simple. You can select some data and literally just increase the font, and then you can just decrease the font. Really easy, really simple. One of my other favorite features is Format Painter. So you can see this here on the left on the ribbon. And what Format Painter allows you to do is to copy the formatting of a number of cells. So for example, if you've changed, let's say we change the color, the background, and we maybe change the text color here, and you say, oh, I like that. So what you can do is you copy the area that you want to duplicate, and you just Format Painter, you select the cells you want to replicate that in, and it does that for you. So that saves loads of times. Format Painter, it copies across the font style. So if I chose a different font style like that one, I can just select one cell, go Format Painter, and then it turns all the rest of them into the same font style. Really, really handy. Okay, another really handy feature is transpose data. I think I found this one by accident a long time ago. So if, for example, you have some cells that are going across like this, actually I'll just copy these. This is another handy feature. So you can copy those. You can ask it to just copy the cells, so it just copies them across, or you can actually ask it to fill the series. And if it knows that there's a series, it recognizes it, it copies it across for you. So I've put in the months of the year in there. And if I want to copy them down rather than across, what I do is I copy, I go paste special, I want to paste them down there, paste special, select transpose, and they've copied them down there. So again, another really handy feature in there. Dragging cells down for copying, I've just done that one. So again, you can copy lots of data very quickly down. Saves you having to copy and paste. Control V, copy C, Control V. You can just actually copy them down, which I find is a bit quicker than doing it with the cut and paste. And then we get rid of that. So I'm going to no fill, and I will get rid of my borders. No borders. Okay, and then merge and center. So merge and center is very useful if you are trying to, I suppose, make an Excel spreadsheet look quite tidy. So you don't want things all over the place. So you might have a piece of information and you want to spread it across 3 cells rather than just the one cell that it's in. So literally what you do is you copy the cells that you want to center the information in, you click merge and center, and as you can see there, it now recognizes it as one cell rather than 3 cells. Okay, so those are some of my favorite features. A lot of them I found, as I said, accidentally, but I use them all the time. They're really handy. Okay, so I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on a couple of other features. So when you're managing a large volume of data, sometimes you need to be able to filter it, or you need to be able to look at it across the spreadsheet and down as well. So a very handy feature is the freezing panes and hiding rows. So I'm going to go to review. No, I'm going to go to view. And if you see this feature here, it's called freeze panes. So what freeze panes allows me to do is to freeze a certain area of the spreadsheet. So in this case, I want to freeze the first column. And what this allows me to do then is that if I have a lot of data going across the spreadsheet, it keeps the headings here. So if I keep going across, and obviously if I had data in here, you know what your field, what your cell here relates back to. You can also do the same for columns. So if I undo that, unfreeze, and then freeze this one. So I'm going to freeze the top row, and again the same principle. So as I scroll down, it keeps the headings in there. So it means that I know if a cell down here still relates back to that cell heading. Okay, filtering. So you can see here I have filters in place across these columns. So filtering is something I use a lot when I'm analysing data. And filtering is very simple to use. It can help out in a lot of situations where you're trying to find something in a spreadsheet, you're trying to analyse data. So literally, to add a filter, you highlight either a row, or you can highlight a particular column, but I find it easier to highlight a row and select filter. And really then, what you want to filter depends on the information that you're looking for. So you can filter on a particular number, like so. You can filter on a person's name. So for example, if we had Tom Jones in here a number of times, he's appearing there a lot, Tom Jones, and you want to filter on Tom, you'll see all the records that match him. The other great thing about the later versions of Office is that you can actually search for somebody's name, or if people haven't been entering the data in a consistent way and you've made some mistakes, you can actually you can filter by some of the text that's in it. So if I had spelled Jones incorrectly, I could say look up owns, and it finds everybody that has owns in the detail. And then you can also select equals, does not equal, begins with, ends with, and you can also filter on a colour. So a lot of the time as I'm going through a spreadsheet, I might just highlight a couple of cells in a colour, and I want to go back and filter on them. You can actually filter by colour and it brings those up. Okay, so those are just some really quick ways of filtering data using the filter button in Excel. Okay, so formatting. So formatting, conditional formatting specifically, allows us to visually represent trends in data. So for example, it will tell you who your top performer is, who your lowest performer is. It might tell you that a project has started or not started, and I'll show you some examples of those. So I'm going to go back to our sales pipeline and get rid of that. Okay, and I am going to for example, show you if we had started a project. So one of the things that you can do is, oops, I'm going to put in yes, no, not started, yes, no, or sorry, yes, no, no. Okay, so what I can do is ask it to represent the yes and the no's as icon sets, and I think now it will status. So conditional formatting, manage rules, so new rule. So I'm going to use a 2-color scale, and sorry, let me go back there now, sorry. So I'm going to say yes is 1, no is 0. Now you can see it's working. Human error there. Okay, and you can quickly see that it's flagging, literally, the status of my project, and giving a green flag for projects that have started, a red flag for projects that have stalled. You can change the icon sets as well. So I could go to little arrows, I can change it to traffic lights, and you can play around with those. So there's some quite nice icons that you can use in there. The other thing that you can do is, you can see I've done some here, and I have some here as well, is just to use color bars. And these, again, you can imagine if you had a huge amount of data, to be able to quickly pull out where the issues are. So the red, is indicating that you're behind, and the green is that you're doing well. I suppose the key thing to point out here is that you need to compare similar items with similar items. So I think I talked earlier about apples and bananas, or apples and pears. You have to make sure you're comparing apples and apples and pears, because if one of your data points is 3 and another of your data points is 10,000, that's going to skew your figures. So you need to make sure that the figures are representative of what you're trying to do, and that 3 in one context might actually be a really good number, and 1,000 in another context might actually be a poor number. So you need to make sure that you're comparing similar results. Okay, finally then, data validation. It's another great feature to use when you're, particularly when you have people entering data, or you're entering data yourself, and you want to reduce the error of data, or reduce the amount of data error or input errors. So data validation can be found under the data heading, and you click on data validation, and really what it allows you to do is put in a pick list. So we've done that here already, and what you can see here is we have some pick lists in place. So this is what I mean by reducing the input error, because if somebody has to select that option rather than typing it in, there's less likelihood of them making a mistake, and it means that you can analyze the data more easily afterwards. To do that is very easy. So I'll go to the end of the column here, and we'll say, we set up a column called products, and I'm going to say pick data validation. I'm going to select list, and then you can either type in the information here. So I could say widget 1, widget 2, or I can clear those and I can select them from a pick list I've already put in place, and it's as simple as that. And then you'll see what I have here is a really nice pick list, and I can drag that down all the way down, and the pick list goes into all of the columns. Really, really handy if you've people entering data and you want to make sure that they're not putting in their own spelling mistakes. Okay, so very quickly, just conscious of time, I'm going to show you some sales tracking. So I would call this pipeline management. If you're not using a CRM tool, you don't feel that you're big enough to do that yet, then there's a lot you can do in Excel to manage that. So I've set up a very colourful now spreadsheet here. So I'm just going to delete some of these cells. So fill and get rid of the boxes as well. Okay, so what we have here is a very simple spreadsheet that has salespeople in it, and it has some of their targets, and it shows some of their sales year to date and month to date, and then their gap to target as well. So I'm going to get rid of I'll get rid of all the conditional formatting there. Okay, I think I coloured those myself, so we'll clear the colour there. Okay. So what I want to do is really show, who is performing and who is underperforming, and do some fairly simple calculations to work that out. And again, for some people this might be, you do this all the time, but I'm amazed sometimes that people don't know how to do pretty simple formulas in Excel that can save you loads of time. So I am going to have a look at the sales year to date and the yearly target. So very quickly we have variance to yearly target. So I'm going to take that out. So basically what I'm asking you to do is subtract. So I'm going to do equal the yearly target minus sales year to date. And that gives me 48,000. And then if I literally just drag that formula down, it does the same for all of those cells. So I can very quickly see who has the biggest variance to the yearly target. So what I can do is, without analysing the data, put in some data bars to show who has the biggest variance to the yearly target. So we can see there that Adam has the biggest variance to his yearly target. So Adam has the biggest amount of work to do. And then the person that has the lowest variance to their yearly target is Joe, and he only has 33,000 left to do. Now obviously it's all relative to the target that they have, so you would need to put in some additional calculations there to make sure that it's a fair reflection of their activity. But it's just a quick formula to show you how to do some simple calculations, and also then how to reflect those visually using the conditional formatting feature. Okay, moving on to invoicing. So I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet that one we did earlier, and I'll get rid of the cells there as well. Okay, so this is a pretty standard spreadsheet that has some typical headings that you would use for invoices. So one of the things we've done here is we have invoice numbers that are in a series. So I'll delete those and I'll show you what we can do there. So if we start with 437, you can see that I can actually pull those down and it will give me a sequential. It's copying them, so to change that I'm going to go give me fill a series. So it's actually going to give me a sequential series of numbers there. And I'm making use of some of the data validation here. So I'm using my product pick list, and then I have some simple calculations as well. So similar to what we did for the sales tracking, I am going to show you how I can work out just the totals from the VAT. So if we have quantity of 1, that doesn't need to be a pick list, but number 1, and the price of the product is 40, then I'm going to add in the subtotal amount. And the way to do that is literally, very simply, equals 1 multiplied by 40. That gives you my subtotal. And again, if I carry that down, it's going to do the calculation for me all the way across. Now, my VAT amount, I'll show you how I do this. So the VAT rate is 21%, and that's constant across all of the prices. So to get the VAT amount, I'm going to do equals, and it is the price multiplied by the VAT rate. And Excel is smart enough that it knows how to work out the percentage, and I'm going to drag that down as well, and it does all the work for me. And then finally I'm going to total that up, so I'm going to do equals the subtotal plus the VAT amount, and I can do the same. The other way that you can do this, you can actually use the auto sum function. So you literally click on that, and then you say, you copy the cells you want to add. It's another quick way of doing it. I'll do that again. So auto sum, and you can do the whole way across. It kind of pre-selects it for you. If you don't want that selection, you select your own, and then again you can just copy that down. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've shown you some pretty simple things you can do to make your keeping track of your invoice a bit more simple. What I'm going to do now is a mail merge using a template that I found earlier, which is available on office.com. So I literally did a search for it and found it. So invoice template here, and it's a blank invoice, and you could modify it yourself. You know, you can play around with the text, and you can
add in your logo down the bottom.
Add in your logo down the bottom, yeah, and you can play around with that. And in order to turn this into a mail merge document, what you need to do is associate this Word document with the spreadsheet that you've been working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this spreadsheet now. Okay. And I'm going to associate that spreadsheet with this Word document. So I'm going to go to Mailings, and I'm going to start a mail merge. And I want to do a letter this time. You can also do an email, but I'm going to do a letter this time. And I am going to select my recipients. So I'm going to use an existing list, which is on my desktop at the moment for ease of purpose of today. And I have my spreadsheet there. I'm going to open that. Now it's going to ask me which tab within that spreadsheet that I want, and I'm going to select the invoice tab. And what it does then is the Word document then recognizes the fields in the spreadsheet, and you can pull in the fields from the spreadsheet to do the mail merge. So under the Insert Merge field, you can pick out any of the fields that are in your spreadsheet. So if I go down here to Description, for example, I can put in the description field from our spreadsheet. I can select the quantity from our spreadsheet, and I can select the price from our spreadsheet. We didn't give any discounts on our earlier one. And then we don't have customer details in the spreadsheet, but just for demonstration purposes, we'll say I'll put in the product name again, the description, just so you can see that it's coming up there. We'll put it into all the fields. So what will happen is, if this was contact information, it would have Dear John, and the next one would have Dear Mary, the next one would have Dear Michael, because it's pulling it in each row of the spreadsheet. It's pulling it into this document. Okay, so what I've done is I've added in my merge fields, and I want to preview how that looks and make sure that there are no errors there. So I click on Preview Results, and then you can see what's happened is the fields in the spreadsheet have actually pulled into the where I put the merge field into the Word document. And then literally all I have to do is click on Finish and Merge, and I can either print them out, or I can edit them. I can send them to edit individual documents, and then it loads them as one document, and you can edit them individually. I can send them straight to the printer, or I can actually send them as email messages. And if I send them from email messages, it opens up Outlook, and it allows me to put a subject line in and to customize those so they go individually to Dear John, Dear Mary, Dear Michael, and so on. And it's as simple as that. So if you're finding that your invoicing is it's very labor intensive and time intensive, this might be a way of speeding that up. Okay, so that is so what we've shown you there is really how to use some common features in Excel to manage your data, to analyze your data, to visualize it, and then how to use the mail merge feature, which brings together Word and Excel, and to actually get your invoices out quickly and easily. And that is it for today. So as I said, we can't take questions because this is a pre-recorded session, but I'd like to thank you for attending. I'm going to pull up a slide. I'll go back to our final slide so that we can give you the link to our program, which is the WorkSmart program, and you'll find there we have a WorkSmart LinkedIn group, we have a newsletter, and we have a portal that you will find all of this content up there. So we'd encourage you to sign up. It's intended for people that are using technology day to day, and maybe you're not using it as much as you'd like to. So the focus of this is really just to help you get more out of the technology that you have. So with that, thank you for joining, and check out our upcoming tutorials, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, and bye-bye.